Okay, I think we're live. Let me, yep, we're live. All right, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Beyond the Veil. And today, our team of intuitive investigators are looking into 9/11. So, we are disclosing for the first time in our independent findings, um, of our independent findings into the truth of 9/11. Now, while I don't expect that we will have all of the answers, I do expect that, as usual, this team of intuitive investigators will deliver things that until now had not been revealed. I want to begin with acknowledging the men, women, and children that were lost on that frightful day, and also the ones that were lost in saving the lives of others, and of course their families as well. Many perished, but all will be remembered. There are many souls there, and as an intuitive channeler, I heard a lot of those voices. I tried very hard not to connect to any individual person there because I felt like that would be going too deep for me. This, for me, was a very heavy topic. I don't know about the rest of you. Um, but it's not just their story, it's our story too. And it's our mystery to solve. It's our journey to understand. And it's our responsibility to create the solutions to make sure that these tragic events end once and for all. I pray that we move forward in strength, unity, and confidence to build the home, country, and world that is not only safe, but also fair for all of us. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your time and your effort into this topic. I know that for a lot of us, this probably felt really heavy. Jennifer, if you're ready, we can begin with you and what you found in your intuitive investigation.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, so you sent me some videos to check out. And when I was watching the first one, he mentioned Flight 11 hitting the North Tower. And that number just kind of stuck out at me. It was like 11, 9/11. Maybe I should look into the numerology. So I have that. But as I was watching the video, first thing I felt was energy harvest and then Israel. And then funny thing, halfway down the video, they mention a shipping company called Zim Shipping, and it is partially owned by Israel. And the company was on the 16th and 17th floor of the North Tower. They announced in 2001 that they would relocate to Virginia. That move happened September 4th. I guess they broke their lease because they lost 50,000 in security deposit. And with the numerology, I decided to look at all of the 4 planes that were involved that day. So we got flight 11, 175, 77, and 93. And so I know that numerology, tarot, astrology, all of that has been demonized because they're using it against us. So I decided to look up these different numbers and how they could be used for nefarious purposes. So for the first one, flight 11, 11's a master number and its heightened level of spiritual significance and energy. And using that for a nefarious purpose would be spiritual corruption and manipulation to deceive, control, or exploit others. It can be used as a destructive visionary, instigates chaos, war, or social unrest, which, it did. corruption of purpose. Instead of using it to create good in the world, it's used nefariously for wealth, power, and influence for themselves, which they absolutely did. Then we have Flight 175, which struck the South Tower. And in numerology, numerology is not something, I'm not good with numbers, so I kind of just learned this. So for the numbers 175, you add them together, you get 13, and then you add 1 and 3, and you get 4. So for the nefarious purposes, that would be the corrupted builder. The energy of the number 4 would be building a strong foundation, but if it's used for evil, the energy could be twisted into establishing a rigid, oppressive, unyielding structure, tyrannical regime, a system designed to entrap and control. So it's like I'm already noticing a theme with the first two. Now, Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon. 7 represents spiritual introspection, wisdom, and search for the truth. And since it's 77, it's a master number, that energy is amplified. So the spirit, that would be spiritual manipulation, can be used to manipulate and control. Corruption of the spirit, using knowledge, intuition, and power to control, deceive, and destroy. Now, Flight 93, that one crashed into the field. That's the one that the people overtook, and it crashed. It was headed to DC. Number 93 is significant because of its numerical value in gematria. It comes up to 2 Greek words. The first one, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, thelema, I think, which means will or purpose, and agape, which means love. And thelema was a religion created by Aleister Crowley. So this number for the nefarious interpretation for this one, you would take the principles of purpose of love and turn it into a justification for tyranny, selfishness, and manipulation. And then the last one, was that the last one? I guess that was the last one. Yeah, okay. All right, so we're moving on to my meditation I did this morning. I connected with my spirit guides, which is my grandma, my grandfather, and my best friend. So I heard my grandfather say, H.W. Bush, Israel, Mossad, New World Order, sacrifice, sacrificing our country for New World Order. I saw Epstein's face with someone pulling the strings. And I don't know who was running Israel's government back then, but whoever was running it was a puppet. And we don't know who the puppet masters are. Now, my grandmother said, collective consciousness shift. It's part of our ascension. She said bin Laden had nothing to do with it. And then I felt her putting her arms around me, telling me that it was going to be okay. Then my best friend Tabby, I could feel her hand on my cheek like she was wiping away tears. And she said it was the start of their plans for the New World Order, but also the start of the big shifts in consciousness for our ascension. She was also showing me H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and Epstein. She said all of this is connected. So that's what I got.
That was very good, Jen. Very good. I'm so proud of you. Breathe. First of all, breathe. Because you did it. You got through it. And I'm telling you, at the end of this, you're going to be mind blown how much of the same stuff is there. That's crazy. All right, Missy.
Jen, you touched on so many things that I found. So it started with a lot of chaos, people screaming, explosions. No one knew what was going on. They were told to stay put. I also got that Laden was a scapegoat, that Israel was involved. Bush, it was an inside job. They planned it together. They covered it up. It was all to gain control and be top dog. They wanted New World Order. This is hard.
Yeah.
So I also got, I was told to look into who had control over the buildings, who owned the buildings. And in that it said, check the buildings, who owned the buildings. And it gave me a couple of businesses that was in it, like the CIA, the DOD was in Building 7. So when I looked that up, the owner of the World Trade Center had just signed a 99-year lease. He was a Jewish man, and his name was Larry Steinhardt. I wrote it down. Let's see. Silverstein. And of course, when everything happened, the lease he got out of the lease, but he also helped build the new monument, or the new trade center, the replacement. So that was kind of weird, but a lot of bankers, the Secret Service was there. There were banks, there were lawyers, technicians. I also got that the Pentagon was not struck by a plane, that it was hit with a missile, and that the planes weren't all necessarily hijacked physically by people on all of them. They were also remotely controlled. They were going to hit whether they were there or not. So that's what I got. And a lot of your stuff, Jen, kind of coincided with what I got. I was there I remember what I was doing that day, and that was the worst feeling that I ever felt. I felt so out of control. I was scared for my family. I was scared for everyone. I worked in another state at the time, and I had to cross this great big bridge, and I was like, I don't even want to cross this bridge. Like, I was afraid to go home, but I wanted to get home to my kids. I don't never want to experience that again. So I'm praying that what's going on in the world today with the movement of Charlie Kirk and everything, and everybody coming together and united, that this will never happen again. That we can take control of our land again, and just be what we were meant to be. That's what I got. I don't know. I'm nervous.
You did great. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, I think we can all agree that that day was a scary day for everyone. We really didn't know what else or who else was going to get attacked. It was a really frightening day. And certainly we hope for a better world, so that none of this ever happens again, ever. But you did great. Very good. All right, Mike, are you ready to go?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we've all had about 24 years of thought and of intuition on this subject, and I know how I feel about it. But this past week, I tried to, for the most part, eliminate a lot of the stuff that I have felt over these last 24 years and what I have learned the last 24 years. But I could not erase it all, because that's very important. That 24 years of intuition is very important as well. So I didn't eliminate it completely. I don't think it's going to ruin anything that I've worked on this week for our project. So first, I would like to start off by just letting you all know that I smudged my deck with Palo Santo. I smudged myself as I stood tall. I smudged around my head in circles. The smoke actually triggered my heart to skip a beat. Um, it's probably because I have a heart condition. And before I realized I had this heart condition, when I was still smoking, that's what would really trigger it, is I would take a puff of smoke and I would get a rapid heartbeat. This time it felt like a skipped beat as I smudged around my head with the Palo Santos. And I'm about 6'3", so as me standing up, I was the tower, and the smudge around my head was the smoke around the towers after the planes hit. And my heart skipping a beat was for all the people that lost their lives in that instant and when it also fell, and the fire as well, and the smoke. My God, the smoke. Um, the words that I got in my mind's eye were proof was in the pudding. And when I heard that, I thought of pudding being cement. That building evaporated into a pile of cement. And there's a lot of theories that go behind that. If you think about what happened to that building and why it would be dissolved into powdery cement. That was the proof was in the pudding. That's where I got the proof was in the pudding. They cleaned all that up. They got rid of a lot of evidence. Some of the things that I have been paying attention to this week, since I have learned that, since I have joined this group, was to pay attention to not only the last few hours before the show, but to pay attention to the week following. The week leading up to this, I kept getting the number 7. I kept getting angels, angles, angles, and angels. 7 seals, 7 chakras, 7 comets. I think of Building 7. And I know Building 7 had more to hide than the 2 giant buildings that we come to know of as the Twin Towers. And as I hold my biggest tower in my hand, which is rose quartz, which is really good for healing, of course, as you all know. So I have a small amount of numerology that I did use, not as much as Jennifer, but I got 911. Okay, 9 from 11 is 2, and the 2 is significant for the 2 towers. I took 2 from 9, which brings me to 7, which brings me back to Building 7. 777. Now, I also took a little trick out of Kelly's book, and I started drawing. And what I drew was 2 buildings, which wasn't a surprise. That was automatic. 2 tall buildings, 2 tall rectangles. And I started to draw a line somewhere around the middle of these buildings at an angle. When I first drew this angle, I thought, oh, I must be drawing the representation of the airplanes as they hit the building. But as I drew the other angle on the other tower, I realized what I was doing was I was making a horizontal cut in the structure, in the structural integrity of the building, of the interior of this building. And if I can show you, if it'll show up, do you see those 2 buildings that I drew right there? See that the simple horizontal line?
Yeah.
So that is not necessarily a representation of the Twin Towers, but it's a representation of the structural integrity of the building itself, which led me to believe that what I was looking at was an inside job by metal workers, by welders that were winking these main structural beams that were in the interior of this building, preparing for this day. I also did some tarot with my custom deck that I created. I did a past, present, and I did a future. First card is past, is this card here that I created. I call it the Page of Coins. It's also the same thing as Pentacles. News, messages, and the bringer thereof. Also, rule, management, materialistic, finance, money. World Trade Center. That was finance, that was money, that was materialistic. News, messages, and the bringer of thereof. So to me, that's the government telling us this is what they want. This is the route and the road that they want us to go. This was their news. This is the news that they wanted. This was the message that they wanted to give us. This was not the true message. That's what I'm getting out of this. News, messages, and the bringer of thereof. Rule, management. Management is the same thing as government. This is the information that the government wanted us to have, the way that we got it. And I don't trust it, and I never did. The next card is the present. I got the world. The world is an assured success, route, voyage, immigration, flight, change of place. So, as of right now, we are an assured success. We are en route to the truth, is how I take it, how I took it. It has been a voyage, and it was a flight, and it's going to be a change of place, which it has already become. My final card was the future, and what I got was the Six of Clubs, which is the same thing as Wands in your typical Wyatt Rider. I chose to use clubs. So this is the Six of Clubs that I got from my custom deck. And from what I gather, that's cue the applause. Recognition, success, you have fought through the noise, validation, celebration, momentum, achievement, confidence, and well-deserved recognition. The community, the crowd, public applause. That's telling me that in the future, it will be a publicly accepted and publicly celebrated fact when we find out the actual truth behind 9/11. As of right now, we are on track. We are en route. Absolutely. But it's still not time. How dare you say anything that has to do with your conspiracy theories right now? I'm still getting that. But in the future, it's going to be much easier, and it's going to be a celebration. I heard Jen say the number 7 and 11, and boy, did I get 7 and 11 just as she did. Melissa was talking about building 7. I knew it. That damn building had so much more information in it than the two towers itself. And the Pentagon just seemed ridiculous to me from day one. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't care what kind of pilot you think you are. That maneuver is near impossible. That's basically what I have for 9/11.
All right, very good. And yeah, I agree. I've never believed the narrative they gave us either. And I can remember watching it play out on live TV and the newscaster reporting that Building 7 was coming down, or that Building 7 had come down too, and it hadn't even fell yet. Almost a full 15 minutes before it actually fell. And I was like, what's going on? So never the narrative they shoved at us never sat right with me. And I think a lot of us felt that way. I think pretty much anybody that had a brain and was old enough to realize what the hell was up.
One more thing, if I may, Kelly, I wanted to bring
Yeah.
up that Melissa brought up the fact that she did some research on the owner of the building. And I did not realize that the old and the new building, the same man had his hand in it, from what I gathered. Is that
That's
correct, Melissa?
correct.
Is that
Yes,
good?
that's correct.
Okay, one thing that I left out of my work that I did was I did do, as you all know, I like to do a little remote view. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time I really felt like it wasn't working, but I did finally make myself stand in front of the tower, one tower, okay? It was one tower. And it was the angle of one tower. It was the sharp edge of a tower. Let's say this is building 1 or 2, okay? Because I don't know which one I was looking at. I was looking at the sharp edge of a corner, which is interesting because I felt I was looking at the old Twin Tower and the new tower at the same time, because I was looking at that because the new tower has that in the design. It has like a pyramidal type of
Mhm.
structure of a shape to it. So I knew I was looking at one of the old Twin Towers. I don't know which one it was, but I was looking at one of them. But the angle at which I was looking at this tower reminded me of the new tower. And I just thought that was interesting that Melissa brought up the fact that the designer was one of the designers, or the owner. I'm sorry, not the designer. The designer, I believe, was a Japanese man that's no longer with us. But the owner itself had something to do with this new building. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he went in with a real estate person or something like that, and was involved in the making of it and everything. So yeah, it was really weird.
Okay.
All right, very good. I'm going to go ahead and share with you all what I have first, and then I'm going to go through the notes that I've been taking that are so similar to the stuff that I have. So for me, I really submerged myself in it. So I heard a lot of screaming, I heard a lot of crying, I heard a lot of praying, mayhem, um, roaring sounds, shaking, sonic booms. I got energy weapon, that something was hit with a pulse rather than a plane. Um, I kept seeing the 11s, like all of you, right? I kept seeing the 11s, 11 for 9/11 and 11 for the Twin Towers. So 11, 11, 11, 11 kept showing up. And I was like, that doesn't make sense because this was horrific. And 11, 11 is like a God number, right? So I was clouded on that at first. So I let it go. I saw lots of sevens. Sevens were flashing everywhere for me. Um, but I heard that there's many planes that are unaccounted for to create confusion, to create panic with like the air traffic control people and stuff. I heard children chanting. I heard sacrifice event, New World Order agenda, remote controlled, pancake, 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 bombs in the air ducts, bombs in fire pipes. I don't even know what this means. Fire pipes or water pressure pipes. I don't even
Yeah.
know if that's a thing. But that's what I heard. Bombs in the air ducts, bombs in the fire pipes, and then pancake, pancake, pancake. Systems security failures, emergency lines cut off. I also got that a missile hit the Pentagon instead of a plane. Um, Nightmare playing out in real life. Every time I would hear the screams of the people and the praying and stuff, it was like living a nightmare. It was literally like the kind of horrible stuff we watch in the movies, you know, how you can feel that. And of course, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I felt that kind of stuff that day watching it play out, but this was much, much more intense. Dark web, web of lies, bets on the playing field, plans laid, New World Order, point blame, Bin Laden didn't do it, CIA, right arm of Israel. Others involved went missing, not from the towers, cover up, silence the witnesses, silence those who helped. Building 7, I actually did a little research and discovered that Building 7 housed the CIA, the DOD, and the United States Secret Service. Then the rest of the building, 60-something% of the rest of the building was owned by investment bankers that are multinational investment bankers. I heard resources. They want the oil, they want the gold, but mainly they want the people. I heard Mossad. I heard CIA again. I heard DOD again. Then it kind of went off on a little weird arm because it said, we didn't win the war, World War II. We got taken over and we didn't know it. The Fourth Reich lives. My kitten is up on my desk. Sorry. Then I heard names: Bill Cooper, JFK Jr., SEAL Team 6, LBJ New, RFK, JFK, Trump, even Charlie Kirk, Epstein, all connected. Einstein knew, Eisenhower knew. Church and school shootings are connected, all the same, woke agenda, splitting the nuclear family, confusing the youth, rewriting history. All of it is connected to the same reason that 9/11 happened. And it was for New World Order, to take control of the people, to spy on the people more, learn who their adversaries are, and the true revolutionary types are, and then put them on lists. And we already know, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but recently they just told in one of those congressional hearings that the FBI themselves had a very long list of people and groups and companies that they were watching. And Charlie Kirk's TPUSA was one of those on that list even. And I find that very interesting. But bets were made and deals were made. Stocks were sold. Bankers invested. Then I was shown that bets were made on several different things. Now, from my own personal research, I know that on the dark web, they were betting on how many jumpers there would be, how many people would die in the stairwell, how many people would die because of the building falling. Like, there were sick, evil people making bets on this. So that shows you that there was this bigger number of people that knew about this. And it wasn't just Bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda group or whatever. And I'm not saying Al-Qaeda wasn't involved, but I don't think that Bin Laden was involved from what I get from this. That he was just the patsy, like Lee Harvey Oswald, or for all we know, maybe even this Robinson boy, you know? But it's all connected to the same beast system. Then I heard, you're not free yet, but truth will set you free. Veils will lift. This is where I was shown the 11:11 again, because this is God's sign that we are going to come out of this, that we are going to see who the true evils are, and we're going to put an end to all of this. That the meek will inherit the earth because we decide to stop the madness. we decide to shine our light and fight. Change is coming, big change. Be resilient, be strong, be brave, be faithful. Use your voice, use your light, reveal the dark in its places and the beast that lurks in the shadow. And then again, I was shown Israel. And I know that there's people out there that's gonna be like, she's anti this, anti. I don't have anything against Jewish people. I don't have anything against Muslim people. I don't have anything against any people. The things I have that I hold against are governments who deceive, manipulate, and take people out to spin their own narratives. That's who I have an issue against. Governments. Never ever the people. So I found it and Abel Danger. I kept hearing Abel Danger. And I was like, I think I know that name from somewhere. I used to actually listen to a podcast and the person's name was Abel Danger. But I actually learned that this was a team during the 9/11 stuff that actually warned the FBI and the CIA and all of them that an attack on the Twin Towers was coming. And I never knew that there was a team called that, but I got that too. And then of course I can name names just from my research because Condoleezza Rice was involved, Rumsfeld was involved. Representative Kirk Weldon would know very well about all of this because he actually wrote a book on it. Tony Schaefer was involved, wrote a book named Dark Heart, and got it approved because he had inside information. He was part of the whole thing. He got it approved through the right people, CIA or whatever. And then at the last minute, they decided to buy up all 10,000 copies with our taxpayer dollars and seal it and classify it. It's a book called The Dark Heart, where he told the truth about 9/11 without disclosing classified information. But there's a lot of people. The Bushes are involved in this. Of course, Junior didn't have a hand in anything mastermindful because he's not qualified, but he was certainly the front guy for making sure that the little stuff got pulled off correctly. So, Jen, you brought up the numbers. Mike brought up the numbers, 11s and 7s, and I also picked up on that. So there is a lot to this numerology, and I feel like a big part of that is that they used numerology to create this, to cast this spell, to create this evil that happened. And I just want to clarify that the numerology can be used for evil, but it can also be used for good. And that's where they learned it from to begin with like the Gnostics I was speaking about earlier today on my live. The Gnostic texts teach you the importance of the symbology and the numerology and how they can be of great benefit to yourself and mankind. But they took this and they spun it into a very evil, manipulative thing. And Jen, you said corruption and nefarious, right? And you also said bin Laden isn't guilty. I got all those things too. Puppets and puppet masters, right? Who are the puppets and the puppet masters? We're starting to learn that now. You even mentioned Epstein, which blew my mind when you said that because I too got Epstein. I was like, what the hell does that have to do with 9/11? But it does. It's all connected. From what I got, it's all connected. Missy brought up the planes and the confusion, right? And the missile hitting the Pentagon. And Mike brought up the angels and the angles, which I think was very interesting, and even your diagram, because the duct systems run through at an angle through the whole building on a diagonal. And then you've got the stairwell that goes through the center, and that's where all of the fire pipe was through the stairwells. It's on a wall lined up through the center. So to say that they were intentionally ahead of time doing things to disintegrate the integrity of the building. I think you're absolutely right on that. Because from what I was shown, this ductwork and these pipes and stuff were lined ahead of time. So, you know, surely if there was steel to be manipulated, they were doing that also at the time. And that would be at the same time that they were shutting down the security cameras and stuff so that people couldn't see what they were actually doing when they were working on these things and getting this done. So I think it's incredible, this journey that we're on, and that's a word that even came up in a few of your comments as well. Your findings had the word journey in it. And I think we are on a real journey here to exploration and discovery of not only who we are, but who they are and what we can do about it to change it. So I think this was very insightful. I know that Mike has more to talk about because I've been seeing him keep his notes. So Mike, if you want to go ahead and chime in.
So when you said bomb in the fire pipes, that really led me to the thought of the fire sprinklers that they were working on that were in the ceiling. There's a lot of those fire sprinklers up in the ceiling. A lot of that stuff was, you know, you can actually find videos of some of these teams that were in there. Not all of it got hidden or the cameras were turned off. There was a lot of work being done on this building leading up to it. And I was thinking of the number 911, like you said. I mean, obviously that's an emergency number. The numbers that they try to use against us. Uh, you know, you dial 911, right? Can you imagine how many times that number was dialed that day?
Right.
Um, and it's part of the whole scare tactic as well. You know, it's just emergency. When we see 911, that's what we think of. And Donald Rumsfeld, there was 2.4 to 2.5 million dollars that was unaccounted for. All
Trillion.
trillion. Wow.
Yeah,
So, you
trillion.
know,
The day before 9/11, he
there you
announced
go.
that.
And so here we go again. There's always something to totally distract us,
Hmm.
you know, just like uh the Titanic. If you all
Right.
remember, some of the people that were in the Titanic were against the Federal Reserve.
And we're bankers.
Right. So it
Yep.
just it just keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've been at this evil for a long time to try to gain control of America. So yeah, I mean, they did the Titanic. J.P. Morgan was instrumental in taking
Right.
down the Titanic, and now that name is like one of the biggest names in banking, right? J.P. Morgan Chase.
Right. And
Um,
and
how
and
convenient.
one of the
He
other
also,
parallels. I'm sorry, hon.
I was going to say, he also is the one that defunded Tesla's works.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of
So,
thought of something that Nikola Tesla did. He did that experiment in one of the buildings that he worked in, and he
mhm,
caused an earthquake.
in New York.
You know, and I started thinking about the parallels between Charlie Kirk and 9/11. How they were. Now, I haven't done much, you know, research, but the books that were sold on Amazon before his death, and the reporting of Building 7 falling before it even fell. Just thought that was interesting.
That is
And
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
because I mean, there were even people that wrote books and wrote newspaper articles about Charlie Kirk dying before he died.
yeah, it's like they got this all planned
It's
and
scripted.
ready to go, but there's so much of it that even they are going to make mistakes, or are they purposeful, leaked out for some stupid reason, so we can accept it, you know, quicker, faster. You know, it's I don't know. Maybe that's the craft
Exactly.
in it. You know, just like it's got to be put in your face. You got to see it. You got to tell them that you're going to do this. It's part of the craft, right? You got to tell
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And you know, you mentioned World War II. Yeah, I have a funny feeling that we didn't win that.
Hmm.
And look what happened. You know, we got all these these German scientists that are basically NASA now, and there's somebody that's something that we cannot trust.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, little fun fact for you to know there, Mike. The hotel that Tesla stayed in, lived in, and did his experiments in the basement where he caused the earthquake
Uh-huh.
is now Trump Tower.
Yeah, okay. Be damned.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Oh,
Trump
wow.
owns it. Yeah.
Wow.
Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Yeah, I think that's pretty freaking cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But even Einstein was trying to warn us about the Nazi regime, if you will, wasn't done. It wasn't dead. It didn't end with the war. It continued. And from me being the researcher I am, I've always felt that way anyway, because I feel like FDR was even rubbing elbows with the Nazis. Um, he went to college with Hitler's right hand man. They were best friends in college and remained in contact all through the whole everything. Before we ever even got involved in the war, they were still in contact with each other constantly, you know. So um just too many things, right? And then they never found Hitler's body, and there were people that said they seen him in Argentina, and then we found a U-boat over there. And I mean, I think they helped him get away. Personally, I think they helped him get away. But also, with all of the things about others being patsies, who knows what we're going to learn about Hitler for real. And I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying it never made sense to me that we made him the monster in the story when Stalin killed more people than he did. That part never added up to me, because I knew that much just from going to school and learning history. Stalin, who was the leader of Russia, USSR at the time, actually murdered more people than Hitler did, but yet Hitler was the one made out to be the monster. And then what? We just forget about Stalin being a monster? We just forget about what Russia's part in this was? I mean, that just didn't make sense to me. But now, hindsight, now it's starting to make sense. There's a lot of dots that are starting to be connected that make me see things in a whole different light. And I mean, even with, when we're talking about the Israeli government could be at the head of this beast, um, which trust me, I know that's sticky territory to be in, to even say it out loud, because they like to paint themselves as the saints of the world. And anybody that dares to speak against them, it's not good. Charlie Kirk is evidence of that. So, and I do fully believe that they had a hand in that somehow. I don't know how. Well, I won't say they. I'll just say, BB's friends, because I don't feel good about it at all. It has some bad juju on it. But I think all of it's connected. I think that all of these different crazy ass things that have happened to us are all connected to the same beast system. And this was an inside job. This definitely was because our own people, our own American people that we trusted, turned against us in the name of what? Money? Power? I don't know. I don't know what their reason was, but it's becoming apparently um, clear. It's becoming very clear that there had to have been top people in the CIA, top people in the FBI, and top people in our presidential administration who had knowledge of this. Otherwise, this would have never happened. Because I will never forget the day that this happened. I tried to wake up my husband at the time to tell him that we were being attacked. And he said the same thing that every American always believed until that day, that there's not any way in hell somebody could ever make it into our airspace or hijack one of our airplanes and us not just blow it out of the sky. But our own military was told to stand down that day. They were told to stand down. We have pilots, we have people in high military positions that have come forward now to say that they were told to stand down and wait instead of taking those planes out of the sky. That's bullshit. We deserve answers, and we deserve to know that the people that are in the high positions are people that we can truly trust. Because we can't let 9/11 happen again, and we can't let any more scenarios like Charlie Kirk happen. No more school shootings, no more church shootings, no more nothing. It needs to end. So we've got to get to the bottom of this, and we have to have people in position that we can trust. Now, I hope that everyone in Trump's administration are people that are trustworthy people, but I don't know that for sure. I don't know that. So that's what I've got on the subject. That's my 2 cents worth. Anything else, Jen?
I don't know. At this point, like, I want to say that I trust Trump's people. I want to say that I trust Trump, but at the same time, I think we're getting to a point where we're not going to trust anybody. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this political stuff is theater, and we're getting to a point where both parties are going to collapse. You know, like, people are going to realize we're all
Right.
Americans, and that's, you know, at the end of the day, we all want the same things, just to live our life.
Yeah. Missy?
I agree with you guys. I don't fully trust our government either. And I'm gonna use Mike's words. Proof is in the pudding. Prove it. Prove it. We need to see some results because we've got to change. We have to unite as a country and make change. Otherwise, it's going to stay the same. We're just going to keep repeating. History's going to keep repeating itself, and I don't want that. I don't want that for my children, my grandchildren, my children's children, or grandchildren. I want it to be a better place, and right now it's not. I don't. I mean, it's sad. It's just sad for our country. Is then, well, we're in better shape now, I guess, with everything going on with Charlie. People are rising up and standing up, which is a very, very great thing. And I just hope it continues and we continue to get stronger and stronger and we stand up to the people that want to take us out, take us down. That's my 2 cents.
I agree. Mike, you got any other thoughts you want to talk about on it?
I'll go back to Charlie Kirk again. When I used to listen to Charlie Kirk, I remember thinking, wow, it sure is nice to have somebody on Trump's side because I'm on Trump's side. And there's always that in the back of my mind, like, what if even I'm getting played? Um, but I keep coming back to trust the plan, just trust the plan. And I want to trust the plan. And like she said, we're Americans, you know. Why do we always got to label something? And then we start calling it left, and then we start calling it right, liberal,
Yep.
lefty. It's just something's gonna bring us all together, and something is starting to bring us all together.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling it's gonna be the children. It's gonna be the children that is gonna finally do it. After it's all said and done, it's gonna be the children because I know that's where the money's at. That's where our disgusting money is at. Follow the money.
Yep.
And this still needs to be addressed. We're on our way. We're very well on our way to where we need to be with all this. And it's going to come very clear and very to light. But I'm telling you, it's those damn children that's going to unite us. You can forget about this lefty righty crap. because everyone can relate to children.
Right. Right. And we'll finally come back together as Americans and America first for our children's sake. Because you're right. They are the biggest, hottest commodity, unfortunately, for these evil bastards. And I think that's why I heard that Epstein and all this other shit is all connected, because this head of this beast has arms that are reached into every single system and every single social level, whether it's church, education, whatever. And they're corrupting our youth in heinous ways, not just on college campuses and in high school history rooms, very ugly, heinous ways that people have no idea. A lot are waking up. People that watch the stuff we do, they have this idea. They understand this now. But there's a lot of people still out there with their head in the sand that just don't realize what kind of ugly, evil stuff is being done to our children. And they are our children. I might not have gave birth to them, but they're still my children too. You know, I mean, I feel the same way about children in Israel or the Ukraine or anywhere else. They're our children. They are the world's children, and we should be protecting the children at all costs. Here in America and worldwide, we should be doing things that truly protect the children. And I do see that day coming. I do see that glimmer of hope. Really, it's bigger than a glimmer to me at this point, especially since all the stuff with Charlie Kirk that happened, because simply because you have seen this light blanket across this planet. This light that everybody has decided to activate, to be human, to act in a humanitarian way, to see each other as human. We need to be able to do that. And I see that happening now. Finally, I see that happening in a much larger scale. And I think it's just going to keep flooding the planet. And we're going to cover the whole planet with nothing but light. And then the dark has nowhere to hide. I look forward to it. I'm excited to be a part of this and to do my part to carry my flame and light the way for the others that haven't yet figured out how to light their own.
I love that because it's like if you're in a light room and there's a little speck of dark, it's hard to see it. But if you're in a dark room and there's a little speck of light, you're gonna see it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I just want to say again, as usual, I am so very proud to be part of this group. I am so completely, I don't want to say impressed, but I am impressed. But I already knew that you could do it also. So I'm impressed, but I'm also very pleased that you trusted yourselves and that you continue to grow and you continue to trust yourself and you continue to see what is possible from within you. I know that Jen was very nervous before this show, and I applaud you. I truly do applaud you. You did great. All of your stuff should totally be trusted because I mean, you are really doing so well, so much better than you realize. So, and I hope that at this point in our episode here, that you are realizing that you should have just not even been sweating that shit at all because you were so spot on. I
Yep.
mean, I think maybe more than anybody, your stuff matched all three of ours, right?
Yep.
So I think you did really, really good.
Yeah, that's funny because she's like, I was thinking about doing numerology, and I'm like, oh my God, I never do that. And I'm implementing that myself. Like you said, that just we're doing it, man.
We're doing it.
I'm not
Wow.
into numbers. I hate numbers. But
Yeah,
when
I
I
don't
was
play
like,
that.
wait a minute, flight 11? Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. We all did. We all played with the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, but for me, it is kind of a thing. I know that there are really special meanings to the numbers and the numerology, and I mean, like 1111, 444, right? Those kind of numbers. That's something that I think any of us that have grown spiritually, we know that those are like angel numbers and stuff. But there's so much more to the numbers than that. Um, so much more information that you can glean from numbers. So I really love the numbers. I really love the sacred geometry. There's messages in geometry if we just trust to tap into it. And I'm actually going to be teaching that on some of my other shows that I do because I want people to better understand that they too can do these things that we're doing and give them easy ways to practice it so that they can learn to trust their self the way that we're trusting ours. So I thank all of you for being here and putting this work in and this effort and being brave. And I thank everyone who's been viewing us and talking in the chat. We appreciate you. We're happy to have you here. I haven't even looked at this chat for a minute. Lacey says she was touched by your contribution, Jen.
Oh, thank you.
And she also says 1 + 1 is father and son. I like that too. Then we got Paco Mom in the chat. You're new. Hello, welcome in. Glad to see new faces in here. Very happy. All right, so I'm not going to bore people with reading off everybody in the chat or anything. I personally don't like it when people do that when they're doing a show. So I'm not gonna be that person naming everybody off. But I do appreciate you being in the chat. I appreciate you watching us. And we don't know what we're doing yet next week, so we'll keep you posted on that. And be sure to tune in. And also tomorrow night we're doing Monday Madness live, so tune in for that too. And I think that will be at, is it 11 p.m.?
I can
Jen,
try to get
Eastern
on by
time?
11.
Yeah.
I got to work
I know
tomorrow
you
night.
got some things, but yeah, 11 p.m. Eastern time. I'll go ahead and start live, and then
But
Jen's going to jump in as soon as she can.
I made
All
it
right.
last week at 11, so I think I can do it.
You did good. Yeah. Okay. Love and light, everybody.